Hey, it's your girl, Michelle Franklin. We are back, honey. Miss Michelle D.I. Y'all know me out in these internet streets. I am here. What? Bringing you the good information, bringing you the things that you need. Michelle D.I.Y. Where you been, boo, honey? There are no coincidences in this world. Only God's divine intervention in our lives. And Miss Community Builder, why? Because I'm giving you the good information, honey. I'm giving you what you need, giving you those things for your mind, your body, your spirit, and your emotions. Y'all know how we do. So it is Men's Month, honey. It is October. It is Men's Month. And I have another beautiful specimen here in the studio, Mr. Ralph Caraway Jr. Mr. Ralph Caraway Jr. is in the building. Pastor Caraway Jr. is in the building. I met this beautiful spirit the other day. It was a divine intervention, I believe. The other day in the studio, I wasn't even supposed to be there, and God just let me there. And so talking to this young man, it was so inspiring. It laid on my spirit and laid on my heart. Y'all know I love to bring young people doing positive things in our community, giving you an example if you lost, if you're struggling, to motivate you and to inspire you. And so, and, you know, we talk a little bit of Jesus because that's my homeboy. Got to get your spirit right up in there. And so anytime I have a beautiful specimen, a beautiful young man in the flesh, I'm going to give you these examples. That is what we're doing. That's why we're here. And so, Pastor Caraway, welcome. Welcome to Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free, the men's edition.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. And so I said it was a divine intervention the other day with us meeting, us talking, and it was something in my spirit that was tugging on me and saying, to talk to you. Pastor Caraway is here in Tyler, Texas. He is running for constable.
Yes.
In the spring of 2024. And so we started talking about that, and then our conversation journeyed into something else. And so I was like, ooh. we gotta get you on the show. We need to have some conversation. So Pastor Caraway, welcome. Introduce yourself to the people, for some people that may not know you out in these internet streets.
Okay, I'm Ralph Caraway Jr., born here, Tyler, Texas, lived here pretty much all my life. I'm currently the constable, Smith County Precinct 1. Been doing law enforcement about 18 years. Wow. And I also am currently a pastor of the Greater St. Mary Baptist Church. And so I tell people all the time I'm both the police and the pastor. So I have two unique jobs that both deal with ministry. And so that's a little bit about me. I'm real involved in the community, youth sports. I coach a football team as well as I'm the vice president. And so I just enjoy what I do. People person that gets a chance to actually do ministry every day. And so that's really me. That's my life.
I love it. I think that's amazing. I feel like a lot of people think, ministry only happens on Sunday morning. Right. And so I love that you said that, ministry every day. Can you talk a little bit about, your day-to-day and how you feel like, how are you bringing the ministry to the day-to-day streets?
So I get a chance to interact, even in my job as constable, law enforcement. You get a chance to interact all day, every day. And so from just contacting people, speaking to people, living out the duties of the office, you really get a chance to really sit down, have conversations with people. And a lot of times, as you and I know, a lot of times you can be talking about law enforcement and then it goes into actually doing ministry, encouraging people, and just letting them know that maybe where life is right now, it doesn't have to continue that way. And then just being able to give people positive reinforcement in their life as you're doing the duty of constable. And then also it becomes the reach, the day-to-day reach that you get to also have as pastor. And so both jobs kind of coincide. You have some people that come to church on Sunday and they're there to hear the word, but then they may have a law enforcement question. So the two coincide. And so that's kind of pretty much how I get a chance to do ministry day to day, from my job as well as being, as the constable, as well as being the pastor.
I love it. I love it. I feel like, it's so much stigma around law enforcement. And so it's just nice to hear, that other side, and
Right.
hear somebody out there that's compassionate and that is, taking more than just a job or this physical thing that might have to happen into place, but it's a spiritual walk, it's an emotional walk, it's a mind, body, spirit thing, and that's beautiful that you're bringing that to the table each and every day.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I love it. And so, Pastor, you got like 50 jobs. Like, when do you have time?
It's the life.
Juggling all of this.
It's the life. God grants me grace.
Yes.
And grace, and I would say a lot of favor, that I'm able to do it. And for me, it's the touch one, change one mentality. And I've seen it throughout my life, especially with my dad, my parents.
Yes.
If you can reach one and you can touch that person, they become the extension of God's reach. And so I'm like, God, however we can get it done at this point in time. If I can keep one person from living my experience, I think I've done God's purpose. And so that's the main focus. So, even though sometimes you do get tired,
Yes.
I know the grace of God is still with me. So it works itself out.
So I'm glad you said that, because it is Men's Month here on Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free podcast. It's Men's Month. And so with you having all those hats, how are you incorporating your self-care? Like, what are you doing to, make sure that you take some time for you? Are you getting that in, or what is your routine?
Yeah, I've had to learn. I've had to learn how to balance life situations with everything else that you have going. And so I live by this motto now. I love me some me. And
I know
so
that's right.
in the process of loving you, you have to find those things that help you survive the times. And so if it means going to get a massage, if it means taking a day to yourself, weekend to yourself, you have to make time. And with my schedule like it is, sometimes it's just 2 hours where I say, hey, I'm going to devote this particular time to me.
Yes.
And I don't want people to think that I'm selfishly saying me, but I think sometimes, especially as men, we get to the point that we become providers, we become protectors, we become all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And after you have filled everyone else's vessel and you're empty, what do you then do for yourself? And so I've had to learn. Sometimes you have to take out time and listen. I'm a pedicure. Go get a nice pedicure, get a massage, do some things to strengthen your mental health. I believe in therapy. I believe therapy is good. One point in time, I was not a component of it, but it's good for you, and it really gives you a chance to rest and revive yourself. And so I just live by the motto now. I love me some me, and I'm no good if I'm not the best version of me for other people, so as well as myself. And so that's what I do. I just have learned to love on me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so rare to hear a man say, you know what I mean? It's so rare to hear a man say that, to do that balance that has learned at your age anyway. A lot of times, something has happened or something bad has to happen, or it's way down the line, and oh man, I got diabetes, so I got high blood pressure, so I have to, you know what I mean? Like, it's after something dramatic has happened. But So it's good that you're incorporating this. My very favorite video of Oprah and Ayala Van Zandt. Ayala Van Zandt talks about the Course of Miracles. And in that she says, it's almost as if you're pouring. We're givers, especially when you're givers, you're a giver by nature, and you're pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring. She said, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
Your job is to fill your cup first.
Right.
And what comes out of the cup is for everyone else, but what's in the cup is mine,
Right. Right.
So I think because I had that misconception as well, I'm a giver, I'm a doer, I'm a helper bee. I call us the helper bees of the world, a helper bee to the 10th power, right?
Uh-huh.
And so going and being and doing and going and being and doing, and I would feel guilty when I would take a minute to myself or take some time, like you said, even 2 hours. I'm
Right.
feeling guilty about it. But I mean, I don't know where that came from, but we got it twisted. Like I said, you have to, and especially with all the hats and the things that you're doing. You're pastor on Sunday. Well, I'm sure you're pastor every day. That never stops. But pastoring on Sunday, football practice. You got your boys and the kids. You're doing the constable thing. You're running. You know what I mean? Like you're doing the day-to-day job, the 9 to 5. All of the stuff you have to. It's not even optional at this point in life. I say self-care is not optional.
It's not
optional.
It's not an option. It's a must.
It's a must.
And I think for a lot of people, we get to that point to where we literally run ourselves down.
Yes.
And for the people that are the givers, that are willing to pour, as you said, at the point in time when you're empty,
mm-hmm.
who then pours into you? I just preached a sermon this past Sunday evening, and I talked about faithful friends. And I talked about the lame man in Mark chapter 2. His friends carried him to Jesus.
Yes.
And Jesus, when they tear up the roof and lower him down, Jesus says, because of their faith.
Yes.
Your sins. And so we have to have those relationships with other people as well when it comes to self-care.
Yes.
Who around you can feel you when you're empty.
Yes.
And so I think that's a important component as well. So as you pour into others, who's then there to pour into you? But also you have to look at it from an accountability standpoint too. Self-care has a lot to do with the accountability around you. And that's one of the things that I've had to learn too, when it comes to being your best version of you. Who around you can carry you when you need to be carried, but also who around you can hold you accountable when you're not accountable to yourself.
I love that. Oh man, I love that. That's one of my favorite stories. I remember the first time I heard that. I want me some friends like that. Not only did they carry him, but then they climbed up into Lord. I want me some. Where my friends at? Like I have friends like that. Actually, I'm blessed. I have friends like that. But yeah, I love that story. So go into a little bit, because how long have you been pastoring?
I've been pastoring for 5 years.
Wow.
5 years. 5 years quick. 5 quick years. Yeah.
And I know that you're a PK kid. And so I won't say how did you get into it, because a lot of PK kids, they're like, I want to do that. So did you have that struggle? Did you have that? Or did you always know this what you were going to be doing?
So my story is God's called me to preach at the age of 19, and I said no, I'm not doing it. The job was Christian college, and I was trying to live my best life. Ministry was in me. I wanted the club. I was going to the club. It just nothing worked.
I wanted the club.
So at 19, he called me, and I fought the call. And so I didn't accept the call to ministry. And I didn't preach my first sermon until I was 30. So he called me at 19, and at 30, I was like, okay, you're not leaving me alone. And so God put other people in my life at that time to show me that you could be young be saved and be a pastor. I mean, well, a preacher at that time, and be a preacher, and actually allow God to use you. And so I ran as long as I did. I've never wanted to do anything that mirrored anything that my father was doing.
Sure.
I already had a name. And so people already see you as, Junior, the little Ralph. So I always wanted to do something separate, but just the call of God on your life. Jeremiah, before I formed you in the belly, I knew you.
That's right.
And so I sanctified you. And so I never wanted to do anything that even mirrored what my father was doing. And so even in that, God had to show me that the ministry, the name, even the name is different. You're junior, he's senior. The ministry is different. There's people that he'll reach that I'll never reach. And there's people that I'll reach that he'll never be able to reach. And so I've had to learn during the scope of ministry that even though people see our lives as being parallel, we're so much different. And anybody that really knows me know I'm probably the one that's gonna push the envelope. I'm the one that's gonna stretch it. But we're two different people, and so even though I've never wanted to do anything that mirrored him, I thank God that even though it seems as if we're walking the same path, God has me blazing a different pathway for others to come behind.
One of the things that I know for sure, because I was 16 when I got saved, right? And I can remember being right here on Palace Street, Church of the Living God. And
Church of the Living God.
Church of the Living God on Palace Street, and all the church mothers, and the church was full, and it was all the, and the songs and the, all the hymns, and you know what I mean? And I remember the periods of time, because at that time, my pastor right now, Pastor K. Chappelle, was our choir director.
Okay.
Right. And I remember how she would, because my thing as a young person, I gravitated to the music. Okay. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily preaching for me. It was the music. And then I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that I could hear the word after, but I love the music and I love the choir. And so for me at 16, hearing a young Kirk Franklin.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that ministry and everything. And so it's just like you said, the song, when the older songs were playing, I was like, oh, okay. But when that younger, you know what I mean? That younger, fresh word came through, it was like, oh, that's different. Okay, I could move my shoulder a little bit to that. Right. Oh, okay, God is cool. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? And I feel like that is one of the things that I'm very adamant about showing, because I think it's so important to have young faces, young Christians, people that are on fire for God, not perfect, right? Not perfect. Yeah. Just striving to be better than I was yesterday. Not perfect, but to have some faith and have somebody out there to say, yeah, I believe in God. I know that what that Bible is saying is true. I know that what my big mama was saying, I know that was, I know those stories still apply today. You know what I mean? So it's so important. I feel like I love the fact that you ran for a minute, but it's just like, how many stories in the Bible were people running from God and running from their calling? And finally, it's like, you have to surrender at some point. Can you take us through, like, just go back for me between that 19 and 30 and what was going, because there's somebody out there that is, they know what they're supposed to be doing, right? Mm-hmm. You know what you're supposed to be doing, but you kind of, what would you say?
I would say that person, first of all, don't assume that God will give you the years and the time that He's given someone else to delay. God was so gracious to me that even in that moment of fighting the call, He still covered my life. And I believe God is covering And I believe he covers us. There's a saying that God will keep you even when you don't want to be kept. That's true.
Yes.
But I think a lot of people have died and never got a chance to accept the call.
Yes.
And so I would tell that young person that is struggling right now with the call, I would tell them, I look at my life sometimes now, and I'm 40, but I wonder where ministry would be for me had I accepted it at 19. How many more people would I be able to reach? How many struggles would I've not even experienced had I accepted the call then? But then I think we have to understand this, that the call of God on your life is so amazing. Why wouldn't you want to do it? I was more scared about being young in ministry and failing. I wish someone would have told me instead of harping so much on the failure of ministry. I wish someone would have talked about how God has used so many people that failed prior to me.
Yes.
And so when you look at who God used a lot of flawed people. And if the truth be told, they were flawed before he used them.
Yep.
Even after he used them, there were still times where they struggled, even after being with him. And so I would tell that young person that would give me the ear is don't worry about the failure part of it. But I don't care how great you are, you're still subject to fall.
Yes.
Trust God in the assignment. Trust God in the call. Don't put it off, because sometimes when you put things off, what you're doing is you're limiting the time that God is actually going to have to use you. And so I would really tell someone, don't be so much worried about failure, and know that if God has placed it on your heart and if he called you, then he called you for a reason. And I just tell people this now, God called you before you could ever fall. And it's something to really think about.
Oh, that's good.
Even if you're in ministry and you fall in ministry, you got to always remember this, that the call came before the fall.
Yes.
And so I would just tell people, walk in it. Walk in it. Put yourself around people that can actually build you up in the call. I think sometimes now, so many people, try to do ministry from the platform. So many people started out ministry in the pit. So you have to have some pit experiences first in order to understand where God will have you stand later on.
Who you said? Woo. Woo, did we go to church just now on a Thursday afternoon? Did we go to church? I love it. I love it. I was listening to Mr. Les Brown, and really early on a few years ago when I got very, very intentional. I did this spiral, depression, anxiety, and panic attacks that kind of taken over my life for this extended time. And 2019, I got so disgusted with myself. I couldn't. I was like, girl, who are you? What? I didn't recognize myself, right? And so 2019, I started just getting very intentional about my life and what I was listening to. And I started fasting and I started praying and I started, just listening to all positive things, right? And one of the people I listened to at that period of time was Mr. Les Brown. And he said the most valuable place is the most expensive place, he said, is the grave. He said, think of how many dreams, goals, gifts are buried.
Wow.
I heard that thing. I was it hit different. You know what I mean? It just, okay, Lord. You know what I mean? Like, okay, and it's that what you're talking about. We take time for granted. I went 2 years in that span of depression and anxiety and losing myself in 2 years. I mean, very quickly, very, very. I didn't even know 2 years had passed. And so I think about the people that I know that are stuck that are 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old, that something has happened traumatic, you know what I mean? And you just get stuck there.
Yeah.
And so these are good people. They have purpose. They have, they have great gifts on them. And so it's just one of those things that we take time for granted, but you just can't do it. It's just like you said, God has given you this gift. I realized all my life, my mom has told me the story when she found out she was pregnant with me and she found out she was having a girl. She said that she prayed that I would utilize my voice. Mm-hmm. She said she felt like people walked over her and she was so scared and so, like this here. And she said, I'm the reason that she knows that there's a God, because he granted her that. She said, because I came out. And I've always been the one, fighting against bullies. I'm my older brother. I'm the one like this. I wish he would touch my brother. You know what I mean? Like, I've always utilized my voice. And so it's just amazing that, you said the gifts that we have them. God gave them to me. He spoke them, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
He spoke them into us before we even got here. And so it's just a matter of us taking the time to walk in that thing, to let fear go, right? Mm-hmm. Like what you were experiencing, that was fear. I look at fear as demonic. You know what I mean? I look at it as I described it. I did a series called Demonic Entities. Mm-hmm. And I described it as, I thought about this. I kept seeing that movie Fallen, Denzel Washington's movie Fallen, where these spirits are jumping. Mm-hmm. And I talk about this all the time because it was just kind of this revelation I just kept seeing. But I thought about when I started studying and getting intentional, I thought it was just the devil that got kicked out of heaven. And then I found out later it was more fallen angels that got out of heaven. Well, what are those fallen angels? Those are spirits. What are those spirits doing? Following him, the spirit of jealousy, the spirit of fear, the spirit of anger, the spirit of unworthiness, right?
Right.
It's how I'm looking at those things. And what did fear do for 11 years of your life?
It literally made me stay stagnant.
Yes.
I think I probably fought harder in life in those 11 years. Mm-hmm. And then the enemy, even after you accept the call, the enemy is tricky because then the enemy makes you feel like you're missing out on so much. Mm-hmm. When you've actually already missed out on so much.
Surely.
And so for me, it put me in a place where I am now. I think about I've been pastoring 5 years. Well, what if in those 11? What if at 19 I would have accepted the call and become close to God, and opportunities would have presented itself. Where I've been pastoring 5, it could have been 10. Yeah. I could have touched more lives by now. I think everything happens by divine purpose. But I still believe that sometimes we can get in the way.
Definitely.
Of what God. So I would say in those years, those years of running, I limited. I would say I limited some of God's reach. Because there's people I probably could have reached during that point in time, but because of the fear, because of the unwillingness and disobedience, of not accepting the call early, sometimes I just look at how it is impacted, and then in ministry too, because you've waited, you're now trying to catch up. 40 years old was not old to me at 20. Well,
right.
It was old at 20. 40 is still real young now.
Baby. I know that's right.
Still real young. And
yes.
50 is not that far off, and 50 is still young because 40.
Yes.
But at 20, at 19, it was so different. And so
Mhm.
that's my biggest deal now. Young people that approach me about ministry, I just try to encourage them. Yes, do it now. Um, we have to understand that we have to be able to give God our younger years, our best years.
Yes.
There's so many more people you can reach at a young age, and there's so much more God can get out of you when you learn how to minister and you learn how to walk in the call at a young age.
This is a thing too. You said when we were talking the other day, we were talking about, your sister in that journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to go there for a minute because you were talking about how when you did accept the calling, how that to helped you to minister to people that have been in similar situations
Mm-hmm.
with your sister. And so would you mind talking a little bit about that journey and
Yeah.
what happened with that?
Oh, so I accepted my call in the ministry, preached my first sermon. My first sermon was entitled Acts 20:24, my favorite scripture. But none of these things move me, neither I count my life dear unto myself, so that I may finish my course with joy and the
Yeah.
ministry which God has given. And so I preached my first sermon at the age of 30. My sister's there. And then, a few years later, my sister dies. For those that don't know, my sister died of suicide on my birthday. And so it's one of the things that 7 years later now I have to deal with. But at that particular point in time, the hardest thing to do is to operate in ministry
Yeah.
with a broken heart
Yeah.
and misunderstanding about God. Now, I'm preaching.
Yeah.
I have a relationship. I've watched my parents, my dad, who's a pastor, very successful pastor, leading the community. I've seen everything that he's done for God.
Mm-hmm.
Seen how he has helped save other people, and now we're in a situation to where the very God that he has preached to, the very God that he's talked about, he's told us to love, he's taught us how to love, he's brought other people to. At
Yes.
this particular time, now here it is that I'm having to deal with the loss of my sister from what we don't like to talk about, suicide.
Yeah.
Uh, and as I'm living this situation out now, to be honest, it affects you.
Yeah.
It affects you in so many other areas. And I did not realize at the particular point in time how God would use me later on, because now a part of my reach is being able to talk to people that are struggling with depression.
Yes.
Uh, I have ministered to people that have literally said, I want to give up on life. And I've been able to tell them uh, from a little brother standpoint of how it feels
Yes. Yes.
when the person. Uh, so my sister was the first person that my father ever taught me how to take care of. First woman I ever learned how to take care of. And so all of the love, all of the experiences, everything, my protector.
Yeah.
In so many ways, she was my provider. Now it is that I have to live the rest of my life without the first person. I would even say my first love.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm having to live life without her now. It affects you in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And being that person that is the provider and you're all these other things, you now have a void. And it took me years to realize that my sister's death is now ministry. I didn't see it then. It affected me. Uh, it affected the way I communicated. It affected the way
Yes.
I've loved. It affected so many things. And when you accept what it has done, then you're able to grow in those areas. And for so long, that was a part of me that did not understand it. I'll be totally honest. I was mad at God
Yes.
because I
Yeah.
saw everything that my parents applied to the kingdom.
Yeah.
And for the one thing that I felt like at that point in time God could have done is he could have saved my sister just based on the works of my parents.
Yes.
And so it caused me to love different. It caused me to live different.
Yeah.
And now on the other side of it is so much more I understand, but it made me a weak person at the moment. But it has made me a strong person now because I can now reach people in a way that I never have before. And one of the things I would tell anybody, if we want to get to the point to where we are going to save people, we have to learn to get down where they are.
Yeah.
So many times in ministry, we try to bring people up to a standard, up to a level.
Yes.
And I think if we can learn how to get back, I preached a sermon, get on my level. Bible says that I became as them to win them. And so I think if we can ever learn how to get ourselves to the place where we can rest in ministry.
Yeah.
Jesus did some of his greatest reaching when he sat at tables with sinners, when he invited himself into homes of sin, when he sat down with people that did not look like him,
Yeah.
and he was able to reach them where they were. For me, that has been the purpose of dealing with my sister's death, of being able to now from a healed standpoint,
Yes.
Healed and yet being delivered in some areas. That has become the greatest joy of being able to minister to people when they're at their lowest, because now I know what it's like to visit places you never intended to go.
Well, for me, one of my favorite scriptures is Romans 8:28. You know, it is, how can you find some positive in the crazy?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you saying? Something good can come out of somebody doing what again? It sounds crazy to just say it out loud. Like, I'm going to turn this negative situation into some positive. Right. But it's amazing how he does that when we allow ourselves to surrender to, one, not allow the anger to consume us.
Right.
Right. But I love that you said that, because it's so honest and it's so real and it's true. We have things that happen to us, and as Christians, we don't have a good understanding. And you're saying, Lord, I've had conversations. Lord, I'm a good person. Like, I do good all the time. My family is good. What? Why is this happening to me? Why do I have to be the one? What is going on? Right. And then you feel like, oh my God, am I a bad person because I'm asking these questions, or what? No, you're human. Right? We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We're human.
Right.
And that is a normal reaction. Grief. Anger is a stage of grief. And so to say, God, my dad is a great. Do you see what's going on? You don't see what we've been doing down here like all my life. You know what I mean? And so I just love that you said that, because it's so real, because somebody is struggling with that thing.
Yes.
Somebody is struggling with that. And I need you to understand that is normal. It is a normal feeling to be angry, to be confused, to say, why? You know, when I started studying, because, you know, when you're younger and you hear the stories, I wasn't one. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't go read the story when Pastor said turn to, you know, I turned in church. You know what I'm saying? I read the 2 lines in church, but I didn't go back and read the story for myself. Right. And so as you get older, right, I want to know, what's the background, what happened, what's the story. And I remember the first time I read the story of Job, because every time before that I've heard the story, they act like this man didn't feel no kind of way about losing all his stuff. They act like he was just excited, like, yeah, kill everybody and take my cattle and take my land and take my stuff, and I'm good. I love you, Lord. No, he said, Lord, what's up? Yeah. Don't nobody tell that part of the story.
Right.
Nobody tells that part of the story. And so now I'm feeling bad because I'm feeling like I done lost some stuff and I should just be happy. Okay, I know it's coming back. I know I'm going to get double for my trouble. But what about the valley and the darkness that I had to go through? Like, nobody's talking about the valley and the darkness.
Yeah. And for many of us, and see, for me, I thought to talk about your experiences would make people think less of you.
Yeah.
Until I realized how many people are living that experience.
That stigma is real. Yes.
And we'll talk about it. And so I've had to learn this too, that the very things that I've gone through, the very things that I've been able to live through, if you're not a listening ear, and if you're not a positive for someone else, they may not live the same experience that you've been able to come through. Yes. And so I think we have to get beyond the stigma.
Yes.
It couldn't happen to me. And then we have to live beyond the thought process. If it happens to me, I'm a less of a person. Good things, I've had to understand this, good things happen to bad people.
Yeah.
But bad things happen to good people.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's life. The crazy thing, Tuesday, I preached about Hannah. Mm-hmm. And Hannah's story is about being empty. And literally making a vow. At that particular point in time, can you imagine Hannah's life as I have to sit and watch the man that I love and that I know loves me love someone else?
Ooh.
Person that he loves talks about me all the time. She's empty.
Yeah.
She's empty. Had to be some mental health issues going on.
Surely.
In that, but literally, the Bible says that she prayed and she wept sore. And so the reality is that she prayed to a God that she knew, but it did not keep her from going through some mental anxiety and depression. And so the reality is, I don't care how saved you are, you're going to go through something.
Exactly.
So can we get to that point to where not only are we trusting God, but can we go trust God and get some therapy too?
That part.
I've had to say this to people. The word of God has blessed my soul. It has really blessed me. But that therapy has brought about some change.
I can co-sign on that.
Yeah, I'm growing in the faith.
I'm
growing, I'm learning, I'm studying. God is doing some phenomenal things in my life. At this time, he's doing some great things.
Yes.
But it does not excuse the fact that I've had to go get some professional instructions on how to deal with some things in life.
Yeah.
And so as I've grown spiritually, I've had to learn how to get some help to grow mentally as well.
I love it. And I'm grateful. For it.
Yeah.
Because on the other side of that, now, like you said, you have an extension of your ministry because you can voice it.
Right.
You can deal with that anger and you can, process that thing right. One of the reasons why I do this is in 2015, my big mama and my stepfather passed away. Mm-hmm. It sent me into a spiral. Prior to that, I've been a nurse at that point, close to 20 years. I've been a nurse now for 23 years. So at that point, you know, I'm like this. Yep. I got it. I'm doing it. I got it. Oh, yep. You need that? Yep. Got that. Outpatient manager. I'm managing 20 departments. I'm doing all this stuff. I got this. I got all these people under me. I got it. My big mama and my stepfather passed away, and within 2 months of each other, I couldn't get out of the bed on time to go to work. I'm snapping like slow motion. You know what I mean? I'm having panic attacks. I didn't know what was going on. And at that point, when I realized what was happening, it took me a while. I had panic attacks going 7, 8 panic attacks back to back, going to work one morning. Sent me to the emergency room. You know, it got real all of a sudden. The holidays were coming and it just got real. And so, but out of that, in doing my research, I realized when I saw the statistics, 1 in 5 people are living with depression.
Yeah.
It's more in the African American community because what? Stigma. Yeah. Because we don't want to admit anything wrong, because we want to pretend and act as if, because we want to just pray it away. I mean,
yeah.
How about being grateful that God has sent you some good therapists, send you some good doctors, send you some good people to get you some good information. You know what I mean? But the stigma is so real.
Right.
So it's almost scary how we suffer. I suffered for 2 years because of stigma, worrying about what people would say, what people would think and everything. And so I just thank you. I thank you for your transparency. I feel like it's worse in men, you know, statistically. In suicide, men have a higher rate of suicide. Pastors have a high rate of suicide.
Very high rate.
All of the pressure that men are under. And so I thank you. I thank you for being able to come on and be transparent. And you never know who you're helping and who's listening and who's going to shift. You know what I mean? Because just like you said, when you're in that space, and I've been in that space of, you know, it won't matter. Maybe, you know what I mean? These thoughts come, right? Where you really think, I mean, it's a dark place sometimes. And you really are contemplating like, it really won't matter. But it's just like you said, because you're not thinking about baby brother. You're not thinking about, you know what I mean, your loved ones at that time. You're so in this dark place.
Right.
And so again, I'm just grateful that you were able to get to a place where you could get the help that you needed. Yeah. And on the other side of that, God is Romans 8:28, that thing, and has given you purpose in it. Right. That is the beautiful thing. And that's the thing that I know for sure. And I feel like that's what's happened with me with the passing of my big mama and my stepdad, is that I birthed this Reflections Choosing Me Guilt-Free. Feeling guilty about self-care, right? Feeling guilty about going to therapy, feeling guilty about saying, I need some help sometimes. You know what I mean? Like we have this superwoman and the Superman cape on. Like you said, the men are the providers. You have this thing that you carry. I'm going to tell you this real quick and we're going to wrap up. But I had this man in my office and I was working in the office, and I had this man in the office. He came in, he was getting a depression screening, and I said, was asking the man the questions, and it's like 10 questions, you know. And I asked the man, I said, is there anyone, I said, are you feeling down, depressed, or hopeless? And so he said, oh, you know, sometimes. When I got to question says, do you feel as if you've let the people that you love down? This man sat in the office tears started flowing down his face. This man cried. I mean, a straight cry for 15 straight minutes, like an unconsolable type of, like, lost it. He
Yeah.
said, everybody depends on me. I said, he had a ring on. I said, have you talked to your wife about it? He said, my wife is my everything. I said, could you talk to your wife? Do you feel like, yeah, I could talk to her, but I can't talk to her about this. We have this thing where we feel like we have to be, strong. You said earlier, you said I was weak for a moment. And I just want to correct you in that. It wasn't a weakness. You know what I mean? It's not a weakness to be vulnerable. That's the stigma. You know what I mean? You had a life shifting, trajectory shifting, altering thing happen to you. It affected, like, that was a normal response. There was nothing weak about it. And that's the part, you know what I mean? That's the part that we got to remember, and we have to remind ourselves it's okay. It's okay as a man to feel those things. It's okay as a man to go to therapy, right? It's okay as a man to say, hey, babe, I need 20 minutes. I need an hour. I need 2 hours. You know what I mean? That, like, all of that is okay. And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for your testimony. I'm grateful for where you are in the kingdom. I'm grateful to see a young man that is doing so much, and that is an example. You know what I mean? For other young men and for young women, for people to see. I mean, you're an example for older people. And just like you said, your father is a big name here in the Tyler area.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're making your own, and you're treading your own way. You know what I mean? You are making your own, and that's a beautiful thing. And so, do you have anything else you want to share with us?
I was just say thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is big for me. Just to be able to tell people, not only my experiences, but also how God. I feel like I'm living the greatest part of God's redemptive journey.
Yes.
I would tell anybody I'm not perfect by any means, but I am living proof of what happens when uh, you surrender. Uh,
Wow.
you surrender to God, and I will even say this, um, in being transparent. You can be the preacher, you can be the pastor, you can have the relationship and not the surrender.
Yes.
But when the surrender comes, you really begin to operate in what God has called you to really be. And so, my message to anybody out there that's listening, um, and I told my church this before. I told them this year, back in May. Uh,
Mhm.
I was like Peter. I was at the cross,
Yes.
but I didn't realize how far away I was.
Ooh.
Uh, and thank God for Jesus. Then when He died for the sake of our sins, He called my name.
Wow.
And in the midst of Him calling me back to Him, not to say that I was away from Him, but when He called me, the surrender that I
Yes.
now have to Him is what helped close the gap. And so I tell people, um, you can be like Peter and have walked with Him, have studied with Him, but you have to ask yourself, have you surrendered to Him? And so my message to anybody is, um, God can only take you as high as you've been low, and on your way back up. You just got to make sure you surrender to Him. And so everything happens for a reason. Life for me happened the way it did, so God could get the best service out of me. And so I'm thankful to God. I don't think that there is some things that I would have accomplished here in these last few years um, had it not been this way. And so what I've gone through and what I've encountered has given me a greater appreciation for the call. And so thank you so much for this right here. This is therapy for me. Uh, lets me know how far I've come, but it
Yes.
also lets me know that there's still a journey ahead. And so thank you so much.
You're
I'm
welcome.
honored to even be able to do this. And so thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you again. I know you're busy and got to go. So I thank you. I appreciate you for coming on. And real quick, can you tell them how people can find you before you go real quick?
I am on Facebook, Ralph Caraway Jr. I'm on
Yes.
Facebook. And then I believe my Facebook will give you my IG. Really don't post on IG much. Also, you can support me. I am running for constable. Let me throw that in there.
Yes. Yes.
You can go to Caraway for Constable. We have all the information on there. And then you can follow us at Greater St. Mary Baptist Church,
All right.
Tyler, Texas. We have services Sunday morning at 10 a.m. I tell everybody you could come get an hour of power. Um, we don't have a long drawn out service. We do praise and worship, and I try to get right into the word. And so you can get in touch with us any way possible. But for those that need that connection with God, I would say, meet us at Greater St. Mary Baptist Church, 1615 Texas College Road, Tyler, Texas, in the cut. Uh, in
In
the
the
cut.
cut. Yes, I love it. Pastor Caraway, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you again. I know you have to go, so thank you. As you have a good rest of your day, sir.
All
And
right.
I appreciate you. Y'all vote come the springtime. If you're in District 1,
Yes, yes.
Pastor Caraway, he
All
is
right.
running for constable. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was warm to my heart again. We have so many men that are struggling. It is Men's Month. We are talking about the mind, the body, the spirit, and the emotions. Why? Because you matter. That's it and that's all. Because you matter. Because you're necessary. Because nobody is going to tell you like this. We need you. We need you. That's what it boils down to. We need you. We need you in your fullness. We need you outside of the traumatic experiences or things that have happened to you, outside of the anger, outside of the fear, right? We need you walking in your fullness, walking in purpose, being who God has called you to be. I know in this world, in this day and age, there's so many things about independent women and all of the stuff. But the family and the foundation starts with you. It starts with your healing. And so all I can do is I can pray that something was said today to encourage you to maybe call a therapist, to maybe talk to your pastor, to maybe sit and admit there's something, I got this anger inside of me. Let me figure out where did this come from? Because it's all rooted in something. We all are hurting and we all are going through something, even when nobody knows it. You don't have to suffer in silence. And that is what this is about. It is about bringing you everyday people, everyday men, everyday women, right? That are beautiful spirits just like you. Their life has lifed. Things have happened, right? And you could say, you know what? I wasn't okay for a period of time, but I did this, this, and this. So what worked for me may not work for you. I fasted. I prayed. I joined very intentional groups. I kept positive things in my ear. right? Of course, I went to church. Of course, I prayed, right? But I also went to therapy. I also got on medication. I also was making sure that I was exercising and doing what I needed to do, right? It's a gamut of things to do. And if you need any resources, please go to the YouTube channel. Everything is listed right there. You have free resources for you that are there and available. Again, we want to thank our guests. I don't know what this is. I feel like it's flying on me. I'm sorry. We want to thank our guests, Pastor Ralph Caraway Jr., our special guest today. And y'all join us back again. It's your girl, Michelle Franklin, Miss Michelle D.I. Why? Because I don't believe in coincidences, honey. Only God's divine intervention in our lives. Yes, your community builder is here. That's what we're doing. We're bringing you all the good information. I know sometimes it doesn't feel so good, but I promise you, it's the necessary information that you need to heal your mind, your body, and your spirit. All right. Like Mr. Les Brown, I aspire to inspire until I expire. That's what I'm doing. What you doing? All right. Y'all have a good one.